Next up, I've got to mention Tony Schiavone, the fashion plate of wrestling that he is. He was in the ring with Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley to do an interview. Tony was wearing a nice suit jacket, a nice crisp shirt, a wonderful colorful tie, and pale wrinkled blue jeans and tennis shoes on the bottom half.
I'll leave him alone.
He looked like an executive from the head to the waist and like a delinquent from the waist to the toes.
He's treating everything there the same way everyone else does. They have an executive vice president who's a main event wrestler who comes out dressed like a street person. He's fine.
Anyway, now that I've belittled Tony's wardrobe, Kingston and Moxley, Kingston promoted, the deal was they can't touch each other or their title matches off, which is a good stipulation to put in because normally you'd think they'd want to tear each other up. And Eddie Kingston promoted Moxley nose to nose in an uncomfortable fashion and made him sit there and take it, and I loved it. And then Moxley started out doing his dramatic, low-key kind of looking around and everything and wasn't going to look Kingston in the eye like a man. And fucking Kingston got back in his face and made him get into it. Did you see that when he started cutting him off and promoting him and yelling at him? Moxley came back and put some bass in his voice and did a good job from there. And it was a good job of looking like Kingston wanted to kill him, or they couldn't touch, or the match was off. The fucking shit they were saying was pointed to each other, and you can tell they have a backstory and a history. They've known each other. I liked Kingston's delivery. Moxley always does a good promo. But now here's the thing. Is it me? Or is the psychology backwards? Because shouldn't Moxley, the babyface, be in the position of wanting to fucking flip out and rip this guy limb from limb, but he can't, or he'll lose something? Whereas the way they did it, it was Kingston wanted more to break that stipulation and get a hold of Moxley, and Moxley was taunting him. The heel should be taunting the babyface. Hit me, and the match is off. Or that? Am I just crazy?
No, you're right. But again, this is the world of AEW where there are no baby faces and heels, just people with complex lives who are trying to get by. But with that said, Eddie Kingston is the best real promo in the business. He comes across real. I've known a lot of Eddie Kingstons in my life. Yeah. He comes across as real and authentic. I mean, he was nose to nose with Moxley. He didn't crack. He came across like a totally real guy. I can't say enough good about him. Now, he's got to deliver it in the ring, but he does a great job of getting you in the door.
Well, but now the problem is, you know what kind of match Kingston and Moxley are going to have. There's going to be some thumbtacks. There's probably going to be a baseball bat wrapped up in fucking Christmas tinsel or whatever. Who knows? But we'll see. But the promos, that was a high point of this lackluster program. Speaking of promos, Pac speaks. We've been waiting 7 months for Pac to speak. We saw him under a tree. We saw him in the yard. We saw him in the dark. We saw him in the bars and the cars. There you are.
Tell me, Big Mama.
And he's been pissed and in solitude for 7 months. And I don't know, as they say across the pond, I tried to listen to what he was saying, and I don't know what he was on about. Was there a point made here? Besides the fact he's been gone 7 months because of COVID, and he's been quarantined, and he was in a lot of different isolated places in this audio or video while he was saying whatever he was saying.
He's been all alone. At one point, I think he was listening to Eddie Kingston do a promo at Penta and Phoenix saying, "Where's your partner?" And also, apparently, he knows someone who knows how to edit some video together.
That did look nice. He was in the house with himself.
And in multiple versions of himself. So obviously, he's alone, but he has at least one friend on the computer that can cut together a video for him and send it over to all of his friends in Jacksonville.
As far as verbally, what did he say? Did he make a good, strong point or just beat around the bush?
I don't know what his point was.
All right, moving on. Officer Bar Brady was with Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall, and they were doing a promo, or were about to do a promo, about the match next week they have with the Butcher, the Baker, and the Candlestick Maker, a.k.a. the Meat Gentleman and the Fishmonger. However, before Dustin got 4 words out and QT was mute, Allie came in. Allie, who used to be the bunny, but before that was the candlestick maker in the Butcher and Baker's team, but then she became QT's girlfriend, but then she suddenly, with very little warning, was back with the fishmonger. Allie comes in and in a monotone line reading that sounded like she was trying to get a level for the audio guy, told QT that his credit cards were maxed up and threw them at him. And then suddenly the Butcher was come from behind with the kendo stick and beat up Dustin and QT, and here comes the Baker. And how coincidental it is that not only do they have a match next week, but just the first 10 seconds that Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall were on camera, Butcher and Baker were right there to beat him up. It's just amazing the way these coincidences keep happening.
You know, I love a good program where there's a long-term build. And obviously there's been a very long-term build towards this tag team program. It was so long-term I must have missed parts of it. But apparently Allie's back to being the evil bunny. However, she still had QT's wallet. What did she spend that money on? That's the question.
I wish we had another sponsor spot so we could do a segue there, but
how much money does QT have?
Enough to go to my bookie. All right, the next match. We got to bring this thing to a halt sooner or later. Next match, Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero versus Red Velvet with Brandy Rhodes. She's now a manager of a job girl. I instituted the cake rule. I fast forward anything with people named after cakes. So I fast forward to this match. Don't know what happened, don't care. But at the end of it, Vicky Guerrero was cutting a promo not on Red Velvet, but on Brandy. Why was Brandy there? I don't know. But Vicky made sure to mention that Tony Khan has been everything to them, and Tony Khan has made the match at Full Gear between whoever the fuck the match was. I don't know. Once again, put the Angel on television. We got an Angel to run Harrisburg. Good. Put him on TV. He'll stick with it. They did another sit-down package with everybody commenting on Paige and Olivier, and nothing about this or anybody's comments made me want to see it. And then suddenly, they did a video of all of Paige and Olivier's trials and triumphs, their victories and their consternation with each other, set to Don't Know What You've Got Till It's Gone. They paid for that song for this. TNT didn't just play that song like we used to play shit on Memphis TV or in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. They paid for that song for this. This angle, this unfucking interesting program between these two people.
I'm glad they paid for that song. They should put it at the top of the show. Because it's the way I feel about wrestling.
Don't know what you got.
You don't know what it's got until it's
appreciate. Who would have ever thought that it would suddenly just cease to exist in front of our very eyes and we'd be watching kids on the playground instead?